The most famous fraud in history wasn't about gold, oil, or Wall Street stocks. It was about stamps. Yes, ordinary postal stamps. But here's the strange part. This seemingly ridiculous, easy money promise deceived thousands of ordinary families, swallowed millions of dollars, and gave its name to every scam that followed. Today we call them Ponzi schemes. But in 1920, to people back then, it was simply Mr. Ponzi's opportunity. To understand why people stood in lines on the streets and handed a man their life savings, you have to imagine the spirit of that era. Whispers moved through neighborhoods. The man down the street doubled his money. Immigrant families were looking for a shortcut to the American dream. And the fear of missing out, stronger than logic. Sound familiar? At the center of this story was Charles Ponzi, an Italian immigrant who arrived in America in 1903 with $250 in his pocket. By his own admission, his early years were unstable. He drifted from job to job. Sometimes he ran small schemes, sometimes he failed, most of the time he was broke. He went to prison for a forged check. He was caught smuggling immigrants across the Canadian border. He wasn't a financial genius. He certainly wasn't a Wall Street shark. But he knew how to influence people. And when people are searching for hope, charisma is more powerful than you think. 1919. The war had just ended. The Spanish flu had killed millions. America was flooded with immigrants. Italian, Irish, and Eastern European workers in Boston labored in factories and docks, yet the stock market boom didn't touch their lives. Everyone wanted the same thing. A leap forward that would skip years of grinding labor. Then one day, the rumor spread. There's a man in Boston. He turns $100 into $150 in 45 days. Ponzi's story sounded clever. After the war, exchange rates were chaotic. He claimed he would buy international reply coupons in Europe at a discount and convert them into higher-value US stamps. Arbitrage. Risk-free profit. But people didn't care about the mechanics. The only thing they heard was 50% return in 45 days. Double your money in 90 days. A barber invested $10 and 6 weeks later received $15. He told his customers. A shop owner put in $100 and got $150. He told his neighbor. A widow invested her entire savings, profited, and told her church. The story grew. The legend spread. No one understood postal coupons, but everyone could see the cash in their neighbor's pocket. By 1920, lines formed outside Ponzi's office on School Street in Boston. People stood there holding envelopes stuffed with cash. At his peak, he was collecting $1 million a day, tens of millions in today's money. Even banks began approaching him. Newspapers declared him a financial genius. But the genius was an illusion. In reality, Ponzi was barely buying any coupons. In fact, there weren't enough coupons in the world to generate the profits he claimed. He was simply paying earlier investors with money from new ones. A classic pyramid scheme. The tragic part is this. At some point, Ponzi seems to have truly believed he could fix the system. If I buy a little more time, I can make the math work, he likely thought. But mathematics does not bend to dreams. Doubts began in the summer of 1920. Journalists asked simple questions. If this system works, why isn't anyone else doing it? If it's so profitable, why doesn't Ponzi invest his own money? Investigations showed he would have needed hundreds of millions of coupons to fulfill his promises. There were only tens of thousands in existence worldwide. The bubble burst. The crowds who once stood in line to invest now stood in line to withdraw. Ponzi tried to stop the panic by paying anyone who demanded their money. For a moment, it worked. But the math was simple. The money ran out. On August 11, 1920, Charles Ponzi was arrested. Approximately $15 to $20 million had been collected, hundreds of millions in today's value. Most of it had vanished. Thousands of families were ruined. People lost their homes, their businesses, their life savings. Ponzi went to prison, but he didn't learn his lesson. After his release, he attempted new scams in Florida. Eventually, he was deported. He died in poverty in Brazil in 1949, in a charity hospital. But his name did not die. Today, every fraud built on the same structure is called a Ponzi. He wasn't the first. He wasn't the last. In 2008, Bernie Madoff built an even larger Ponzi scheme worth billions. Unlike Ponzi, he didn't promise outrageous profits, he promised steady and safe returns. Bankers, funds, even universities were deceived. Collapsed crypto projects, high-yield platforms, pyramid schemes, bubbles. The pattern is always the same. This story isn't about stamps. It's about psychology. When people are desperate, they want to believe in the impossible. They trust their neighbor more than they trust numbers. The fear of what if I miss out outweighs the fear of what if I lose. Ponzi understood that. And he used it. The real lesson isn't memorizing his postal coupon trick. It's recognizing the whispers in your own life. Guaranteed investment. Risk-free high returns. Everyone's getting in. In that moment, remember the crowd in Boston. People standing in line with envelopes of cash in their hands. Thinking they were becoming rich, while losing their future. History doesn't repeat exactly. But it rhymes. Ponzi's rhyme is always the same. A few win. Most lose. And the system stands on hope. Until it collapses.